Deep in the archives, surrounded by dust and silence, we found a chapter. Imagine you're standing on the shore of a cold Nordic fjord. Mist over the water early in the morning. In a lot of movies, this is the moment where Vikings would stumble out of some hut, stinking, messy, and covered in dirt. But reality was very different. The Vikings were many things: warriors, traders, explorers. But one thing they probably were not: constantly filthy barbarians. Even their weekday names say a lot. Our Saturday was for them Laugardagr, which literally means bath day, an entire day traditionally associated with washing and bathing. For a society without running hot water, that's a pretty clear statement. Personal hygiene was part of everyday life. Many accounts from contemporaries confirm this. An Arab scholar named Ibn Fadlan, who met Norsemen in the 10th century, describes a morning routine. A girl walks around with a bowl of water, and each man washes his face, hands, and hair in it. From his perspective, with his own hygiene standards, he found it disgusting because everyone used the same bowl. But the scene itself shows one thing very clearly. Washing was part of the start of the day. The Vikings didn't just get up and go. They cared about cleaning themselves. Of course, depending on where they lived, they had different options. In summer, they used rivers and lakes for bathing, washing clothes, and cleaning dishes. In Iceland, where there are natural hot springs, these were used very early on as a kind of natural spa area. Hot water was a luxury and was appreciated, and there is evidence of sweat or steam baths, simple huts where stones were heated and water was poured over them, basically an early form of what we would today call a sauna. All of this doesn't fit the image of a people who didn't care about cleanliness. It becomes even clearer when we look at what archaeologists have found in graves and settlements. Everywhere Vikings lived, the same types of objects keep appearing: combs, tweezers, ear spoons, razors. These items were made from bone, antler, or even ivory, often decorated, and important enough to be placed in graves alongside the dead. These weren't rare luxury items. They were everyday tools. That tells us combed hair, a groomed beard, clean ears. All of that was part of the appearance they wanted to present. There are even medieval sources from England in which authors more or less complain that Viking men were very popular with women. One reason they give: the Norsemen supposedly washed more often, wore cleaner clothes, and took better care of their hair than many of the local men. So, pretty much the opposite of the cliché. When it comes to cosmetics, the Vikings were inventive as well. They produced soap, usually made from animal fat and potash, an alkaline ash. With this soap, they could not only wash themselves, but also bleach their hair. There is evidence that some Vikings deliberately lightened their hair to look brighter, more striking, maybe even more warlike. On top of that, they likely used oils or fats for skin and hair, as well as herbal infusions to reduce odor or get rid of parasites. Cleanliness, however, didn't stop at the body. Clothing played a big role, too. A typical outfit included linen underwear with warm woolen garments on top. Linen can be washed relatively easily, and that's exactly what they did. They washed clothes in rivers and along the shore, wrung them out, and hung them up to dry. Add to that colored fabrics, brooches, jewelry. Altogether, this paints the picture of a culture that definitely cared about how they looked, especially in public. So why do we still so stubbornly see them as dirty barbarians? There are three main reasons. First, Christian chroniclers of the Middle Ages. To them, the pagan Norsemen were enemies, pirates, raiders. To condemn them morally, they liked to describe them as rough, uncivilized, and filthy. That was propaganda, not a neutral description. Second, the 19th century. In this period, Vikings were romanticized in art and literature. People loved the image of the wild, half-naked warrior with flowing hair and a horned helmet, which, by the way, Vikings did not actually wear. Dirt and wildness looked more dramatic in paintings than someone calmly combing his beard. And third, modern films and TV series. For strong visuals on screen, you get mud, blood, rain, and grime. It looks epic, but it's often historically exaggerated. A group of men who wash daily, comb their hair, and bathe regularly is simply less spectacular for Hollywood. If we put all these points together, a very different picture emerges. For their time, the Vikings were actually cleaner than average. They washed their faces and hands in the morning. They bathed at least once a week. They used soap, combs, tweezers, and razors. They wore clean clothes, and they cared about a neat, well-groomed appearance. So, were the Vikings really dirty barbarians? Based on what we know today, no. The cliché is persistent, but what we find in the ground and what contemporary sources tell us paints another story, that of a people who were quite proud of how they looked. And maybe that was one of the reasons why these wild Northmen didn't just spread fear in foreign harbors, but sometimes made a very good impression too. What else has history forgotten? Find out by clicking, subscribe, and activating the bell. We'll see you in the next Forgotten Pages.